The moment Iron Man faced Thanos, everything changed. Fans called it the greatest goodbye in cinema, while others said Marvel could never recover after 2019. But what made one man loved and the other feared forever? Let's find out. We begin with the genius who started it all, Tony Stark. For every villain who destroyed, there was one man who rebuilt. Tony Stark, the genius, the billionaire, the man who made his own heart out of fire and metal. When Marvel began in 2008, nobody thought a sarcastic weapons dealer would become the world's most loved hero. He didn't need a spider bite or super serum, just guilt, genius, and a box of scraps. That first Iron Man suit built in a cave changed movie history, and his own. He turned pain into purpose, arrogance into armor, and himself into a one-man army for redemption. From Iron Man to Endgame, Tony carried an entire generation of heroes, 85 suits, 9 solo and crossover films, and 1 unmatched sacrifice. When he snapped his fingers to end Thanos, you could hear real people crying in theaters. It wasn't just a movie death, it was a goodbye to the man who made Marvel real. His line, "I am Iron Man," didn't just end a battle, it ended an era. Tony showed that courage doesn't need a cape, only conviction. He wasn't perfect, and that's why we loved him. But for every man who saves the world, there's one who believes it deserves to burn. But where there's creation, there's destruction. Thanos believed he was saving the universe. That's what made him terrifying. To him, wiping out half of all life wasn't murder, it was mercy. He spoke calmly while committing genocide, smiling as he snapped 3.8 billion people out of existence. He didn't rage, he didn't gloat, he called it balance. But there's no balance in watching entire planets vanish. Fans saw it. Cities turning silent, dust in the wind, children gone in seconds. Yet Thanos watched it all like a man watching rain. What made him so hated wasn't just the death toll. It was his belief that he was right. Philosophers debated him. Psychologists studied him. Even his own daughter couldn't convince him he was wrong. And when he said, "I am inevitable," it felt less like a line, more like a curse. But every tyrant meets his mirror. Tony Stark's final act proved that will always beats power. One snap later, the Titan fell. Thanos showed how evil often hides behind reason. He killed half the universe to save it, and lost everything in return. And while he believed strength ruled the world, the next man proved that real strength never needs to shout. The soldier who fought every war, even the one inside him, Steve Rogers, before gods, kings, or billionaires, there was a skinny kid from Brooklyn who couldn't walk away from a fight. Steve Rogers had no armor, no claws, no magic, just a heart too stubborn to quit. Rejected by the army 5 times, he still showed up. And when he finally got his chance, he didn't use power to dominate, he used it to protect. Captain America, the first Avenger, turned a forgotten patriot into a living symbol of selflessness. But his strength was never just muscles or shields. It was his moral spine, the one thing that never broke. When everyone followed orders, Steve questioned them. When governments fell apart, he stood tall. "I can do this all day." The line became a battle cry for anyone who ever got knocked down. From jumping on grenades in 1943 to wielding Mjolnir in 2019, Steve carried the soul of Marvel. Over 70 years of stories, one thing never changed. He always fought for the person who couldn't. When he handed his shield to Sam, fans didn't cry because he left. They cried because he finally got peace. But for every man who fights for truth, there's always one who fights for attention. From pure heart to pure ego, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers had the power of a god, the glow of a star, and the personality of a brick wall. At least that's what fans said. When Captain Marvel hit theaters in 2019, it made $1.1 billion, but somehow left the audience divided. She could punch through spaceships and destroy fleets, yet people struggled to care. It wasn't her strength that made her hated, it was her distance. She looked untouchable, talked down to heroes we'd spent a decade loving, and felt less like a person and more like a mission statement. Even in Endgame, when she told Peter Parker, "Hey, Peter Parker," it felt like Marvel wanted her to be cool instead of real. Viewers didn't see pain or doubt, just perfection, and perfection is boring. Behind the scenes, Brie Larson faced online hate campaigns, interviews taken out of context, and endless debate over whether the problem was her or the writing. But in the end, power without empathy never wins hearts. Captain Marvel might have saved galaxies, but she couldn't save her reputation. And while she soared too high to reach, the next hero stayed grounded. grounded, a boy who never stopped believing that great power comes with great responsibility. Now, the kid who made the whole world believe again. Spider-Man before magic, multiverses, or gods with hammers. There was just a kid, broke, nervous, and late for school. Peter Parker became Spider-Man not because he wanted fame, but because guilt wouldn't let him rest. He wasn't born a hero, he became one the moment his uncle died because of a choice he could have changed. That single moment, one gunshot, turned a teenager into Marvel's beating heart. Through every reboot and every actor, the story stayed pure. A kid juggling homework and heartbreak while saving New York from men who fly, sting, and steal. From Tobey's trembling voice in 2002 to Tom Holland's tears in No Way Home. 21 years, 9 films, and billions of hearts. When Peter met Tony Stark, it felt like a son meeting his idol, and when he lost him, the world broke again. The fans cried with him, not because he failed, but because he still showed up. Spider-Man taught every fan what real power feels like. Heavy, lonely, and worth it. But while he built his name through sacrifice, the next man tried stealing it, and almost destroyed everything that S.H.I.E.L.D. once stood for. Then came the imposter with the shield, John Walker. When Steve Rogers retired, the world needed another Captain America. What it got was John Walker, the soldier who had the shield but not the soul. He looked perfect on paper, medals, loyalty, confidence. But behind that smile was anger waiting to explode. In The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Walker's mask of discipline cracked fast. The moment he killed a man with Steve's shield, in broad daylight, covered in blood, the entire internet turned on him. That single frame, the blood dripping off the symbol of hope, became one of the darkest moments in Marvel's history. Fans flooded forums saying, "He's everything Steve never was." The actor Wyatt Russell said in interviews that people even sent him real hate mail. That's how deeply viewers connected, not with him, but with the betrayal he represented. John Walker didn't lose control because he was evil. He lost it because he wanted to matter as much as the man before him. But that's the tragedy. You can't force legacy, you earn it. He may have worn the stars and stripes, but his actions left nothing but stains. And while he fought for glory, the next name ruled with grace. A king who showed that true power speaks softly. After chaos, a king rose in silence. Black Panther, some heroes wear masks to hide. T'Challa wore his to lead. When Black Panther hit theaters in 2018, it didn't just change Marvel, it changed movies forever. For the first time, the world saw a superhero who didn't come from pain or poverty, but from pride and purpose. Wakanda wasn't just a city, it was proof that strength could exist without conquest. Chadwick Boseman turned every scene into poetry. Quiet, powerful, and filled with heart. The movie broke records with $1.34 billion at the box office and became the first superhero film ever nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. But what made T'Challa truly loved wasn't his suit or his speed. It was his mercy. When he faced Killmonger, he didn't kill for victory. He offered peace. Even off-screen, Boseman lived like a king, visiting sick kids while secretly fighting cancer himself. When he died in 2020, over 50 million tweets poured in. The world didn't just lose an actor, it lost a symbol of dignity. T'Challa showed that leadership means lifting others, not standing above them, but where he ruled through truth, the next man ruled through lies, and made the world question everything they saw. But peace never lasts long. Mysterio, some villains fight with strength. Mysterio fought with stories. Quentin Beck called himself a genius, but he was just a failed employee with a grudge. After losing his tech to Tony Stark, he built fake monsters, staged fake battles, and fooled the world into calling him a hero. In Spider-Man Far From Home, he didn't use weapons. He used attention, drones, holograms, deepfakes, everything built for one goal, fame. He told lies so big that even Peter Parker believed him, and that's what made him dangerous. When he finally died, he made sure his revenge outlived him. That last scene, Peter's face exposed to the entire world, broke every fan's heart. It wasn't just the end of Spider-Man's secret, it was the start of his suffering. Behind the scenes, fans called Mysterio the villain for the digital age, because he didn't need power stones or armies, he just needed an audience. Jake Gyllenhaal's calm, charming performance made the betrayal hurt even more. People loved him until they didn't. He didn't destroy cities, he destroyed trust, and sometimes that's worse. But from all that deceit came one woman whose love and pain nearly tore reality apart. Love turned into madness. Wanda Maximoff didn't fight for power or glory. She fought for something more dangerous, grief. When she first appeared in Age of Ultron, she was angry, fragile, and lost. But by the time WandaVision came out, she had become something else entirely. The most powerful woman in the Marvel Universe. Fans loved her because she was human before she was a hero. She lost her parents, her brother, her lover, and still kept moving. But pain has a breaking point. In WandaVision, she created an entire world to bring Vision back. Over 125 million people streamed that moment, watching one woman build a reality out of heartbreak. When Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness revealed her as the villain, it felt unfair and inevitable at the same time. She wasn't evil, she was empty. "I'm not a monster," she said. "I'm a mother." That line hit harder than any spell. Elizabeth Olsen's performance turned Wanda into more than a superhero. She became a warning. Love can heal. Love can also destroy. And while Wanda tore down worlds out of emotion, the next man tore down empires out of cold calculation. And finally, the man who destroyed heroes without ever fighting them. Zemo. Most villains attack from the front. Zemo attacked from the shadows. No alien armies, no super serum, just a plan. And it worked. After losing his family in Sokovia, he didn't chase revenge with guns. He used grief like a weapon. He read every file, learned every secret, and pulled the strings until the Avengers destroyed themselves. In Civil War, he didn't need to lift a fist. He just needed a tape. That one video, the moment Tony saw who killed his parents, shattered everything. One team, one friendship, one dream of unity gone in seconds. Zemo didn't win by killing the Avengers. He won by making them kill each other. Fans didn't hate him because he was loud. They hated him because he was right. The Avengers caused as much damage as they stopped. And when he said, "An empire toppled by its enemies can rise again, but one that crumbles from within, that's dead forever," it felt like prophecy. Even later, in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he walked through chaos with the calm of a man who already won. Zemo proved that brains can break worlds faster than bombs. And in the end, every universe, from Wakanda to New York, learned the same lesson. Power saves lives, but it also ruins them. Heroes fall, villains rise, and every story leaves a scar. Click the next video on your screen right now before it disappears. Because what happened after Endgame changed everything Marvel ever